Hello students, good morning. As we know that in our previous topic we have discussed about the Gauss theorem and its proof. And now there are certain applications of this theorem, and this first application is to find out an electric field at a particular point in the vicinity of a long straight uniformly charged wire. For this, let us consider a charged wire of infinite length. Let the charge density of this wire is say lambda, that is linear charge density, and we have to calculate say electric field at point P, which is at a perpendicular distance r from the wire. Let this point is say some origin on the wire from where we have to calculate the distances. Okay, so first of all, for this we have to calculate the directions. Okay, uh, okay, let us consider two small length element. Say this is the length element is represented by a letter A, and some equidistant from the O another length element say B. Okay, so due to the charge at B, at point P there is some electric field which is depend upon this distance and directed along this direction, say it is E1. Similarly, due to the point A there is also electric field along this direction, say it is E2. Now point P there are two electric field, and now if we divide this electric field into their rectangular component, then this E1 is divided into two perpendicular component. First one is horizontal component and second one is vertical component. Okay, similarly E2 is also divided into two component. First one is along horizontal line and second one is along vertical line. Okay, as point P is equidistant from point B and A, so that E1 and E2 are equal, and hence these vertical components are equal and opposite to each other, and hence cancelled the effect of each other. So the net electric field at point P is always directed along this line. Okay, say it is the resultant field E. So we can say that due to a long uniformly charged wire, electric field is always perpendicularly outward due to the positively charged wire. Okay, and this kind of electric field is called a radial electric field. Okay, so now for calculation of this electric field in detail, consider again, let if we have this wire that is of infinite length. Infinite length means the length of this wire is not actually at infinite, but it is very large as compared to the this distance r. Okay, so consider a point P at a distance r where electric field is to be find out. Let length of this wire is say L and its charge density is lambda. So now we know that the linear charge density is given by the charge by length q by L. So from here the total charge on the wire must be equal to lambda into L. So it is equation first. Now in order to applying the Gauss theorem, first of all we have to consider here a Gaussian surface. Okay, and Gaussian surface is must be chosen so that the surface must contain point P. So the surface containing point P, and the at each and every point of this the electric field must be constant. So due to this line charge, a surface at every point of which the field remains constant is a cylinder. Okay, or we can say a right circular cylinder. So we consider a cylindrical surface here like this. The radius of the cylinder must be equivalent to this r. Okay, so consider a Gaussian surface in the form of a cylinder. Okay, that the length of the cylinder is L and its radius is r. So now consider a small length, or we can say an area element at point P, or we can say in surrounding of point P. This area element is say ds1. Okay, let this small element is a small portion of the curved surface area of the cylinder. Say surface area of cylinder is s1, so this small surface area consider ds1, and then the direction of this area vector is perpendicularly outward, represented by n cap. Okay, at point P, as we stated earlier, that electric field is always radially outward, so the field direction must be similar to that of n. Okay, so on the other surface, that is, say this is the second surface. Now consider a small surface on the second surface, then the direction of this surface area is vertically upward. Okay, similarly on the third surface here, again if we consider a surface, small surface ds3, then its direction must be vertically downward. Okay, so if we calculate the total electric flux passing through this cylindrical surface, then it must be the flux passing through the curved surface plus flux through this upper disk or this lower disk. Okay, so here total electric flux is given by, if flux is given by represented by phi, so it must be the electric flux, that is the surface integral of electric field due to first surface, that is E dot ds1 around a surface first, plus the electric flux due to the second surface E dot ds2 plus the electric flux due to the third surface. Okay, now this must be written as, that is E ds1 cos. As for the first surface, the area vector having direction vertically upward and the electric field is horizontal, so angle between them is 90 degree. Okay, so we can write here E ds1 cos 90 plus. Similarly for the second surface, again the area vector having vertically downward and the electric field is horizontal, so again angle is 90 degree, so it is represented E ds2 cos 90 plus. Third one, for the this surface electric field and normal having same direction, so angle between them is 0, so we can write E ds3 cos of 0. Now this becomes 0 plus, similarly cos 90 is 0 plus this remaining E integral of ds3. Okay, so the total electric flux must be equal to E into the surface integral of the third surface, which is the curved surface area of the cylinder. So we can write here the curved surface area of cylinder, which is equal to 2 pi r L, where L is the length of this cylinder. Okay, say this is equation second. Now using Gauss law, we know that the total flux must be equal to Q by epsilon naught. Okay, so this is equation third. Now using equation second and first in equation third, we get, using equation second and first in equation third. We get phi, means from second equation phi must be equal to E into 2 pi RL. So it must be right E into 2 pi RL, which is equal to Q. From first equation Q must be equal to lambda into L. So we can write here lambda into L upon epsilon naught. So L can be cancelled out from here, and we are remaining with E must be equal to lambda upon this factor 2 pi R into epsilon naught. Okay, so this is the electric field. So it is equation 4, electric field at point P, which is at a distance r from the wire. So it is clear from this equation that electric field due to a uniformly charged wire is proportional to 1 by r. Okay, because lambda 2 pi into epsilon are constant quantities. Okay, also it is clear that this field direction is outward because it is a positive charge. If charge is negative, then this field direction is perpendicularly inward. So we can say if lambda is positive, that is for the positive charge, then electric field is directed radially outward. If lambda is positive, then if lambda is negative, means for negative charge, then electric field is directed radially inward. Okay, so this is all about this topic, and now in the second topic we have to discuss the next application of the Gauss theorem. Thank you very much.